This heater pointed directly at my butt. What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be filming from my floor because I got my booster shot yesterday and my back hurts too much to sit down. So I apologize for the crappy lighting. But it's also past midnight, so you know what? We're just going to deal with it. So today, or tonight, I guess, I'm going to be doing the Q&A that I set up a few days ago. I asked you guys to send me any questions that you have about me and my time here in Korea. A few of them were pretty basic. I'll get to the more personal ones, and then I'll go to the basic ones, of course. So the first one is, what's the biggest difference you know between American girls and Korean girls? I would have to say one of the biggest differences that I've noticed, at least, are both mannerisms toward each other and toward foreigners. Korean women, from what I've noticed, are typically very, very open to other foreigners. Korean men are as well, but Korean women, I've literally had random Korean women come up to me and like tell me like, oh, you're so pretty, or like poke my nose to see if it's real, or give me hugs on the street. Another huge thing is like beauty. Oh my gosh, you guys probably can imagine, but plastic surgery is a huge thing here. Getting work done, just physical appearance in general, colored contacts, lip fillers, nose jobs. Makeup here is so much more expensive than the US. I will gladly stick to my dollar store foundation rather than pay 23,000 won for a tube that's like the size of a travel size shampoo. It's crazy here. And for the Korean women that haven't been like westernized, they're typically more traditional, like they're very respectful, very quiet. They're not super glammed out or expecting rich like money and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting. It's more of something you would have to kind of experience for yourself rather than explain, if that makes any sense. Are Koreans racist? I'm not going to get into that because that could cause a whole big issue. I will say there are some people who are not exactly open to the idea of having so many foreigners in the country right now. I am one of those people, despite being a foreigner. It's just like, some people, especially foreigners, can be incredibly disrespectful here, and I understand the Koreans' frustrations upon that. So I don't think it's racism as much as it is certain people are being very disrespectful, very, very stereotypical and very rude, and Koreans don't exactly like that. What's the biggest culture shock coming from the US? I would have to say it's like breaking those little tiny mannerisms that I'm so used to. Saying God bless you when someone sneezes, or apologizing when you bump into somebody, or holding the door open for someone. It's those kind of things that we're so used to that we have to kind of grow out of. You bump into somebody, it just happens. You don't acknowledge it, or you give like a nod to like acknowledge that you understand like you bumped into them and you're sorry. You don't hold the door open for people. Just little things like that. What's a misconception about Korea that you thought before you went, and now that I'm here, do I understand it? I would have to say I always saw not just Koreans but Asian people in general, and this is like northern, like northeastern, northwestern, southeastern, like all Asians. I've kind of seen them as more of a glamorous people, like very dainty, very sophisticated. And Hongdae is a great example. I definitely would not use the word ghetto, but you kind of understand what I mean. It's more of a rougher part of Seoul. It's kind of a place where you can really do anything you want or dress any way you want, and it's acceptable. I've seen some pretty expressive fashion, some pretty cool tattoos and piercings, things like that. I guess I always thought of Asians to have more of a set traditional mindset and way of thinking, and now it's kind of like I've gotten used to seeing like that's not how it is at all. That's not how it is at all. What do you wish America has that Korea has? More Korean men. What's your favorite thing about Korea that no one really knows? Korean men. I'll just say my favorite thing about Korea is probably how open they can be. I've made quite a few friends, Korean friends, since I've been here, and a lot of them I wouldn't have made if either I or they themselves hadn't approached me. It was more like one of those things like where you happen to meet each other on the street when you're drinking or through friends and you just kind of click. There was a guy that I literally ran into him coming out of a club and he was with one of my friends. I'd never met him before. We spoke for maybe less than a minute. I never thought I was going to see this guy again. And then I wound up seeing him 2 months later at a New Year's Eve party. And it's already been almost a month after that. And I had lunch with him today. So they're so open to getting to know you if you're just friendly and respectful. That's the kind of thing that I feel people don't understand, is that when you're obnoxious and you're drinking all the time and you're starting fights and being loud, like that's why the Koreans don't appreciate when foreigners come and do that. It's more, they're willing to get to know you, they're willing to be your friends, and they're willing to talk to you because they find you interesting. The fact that you're a foreigner in their country, like that's interesting to them. And I feel like foreigners kind of abuse that, which they really shouldn't, because Koreans are incredibly understanding people. Shout out to Leanne, this is my Drury mom. She's so curious about my life here. She wants to see my room and apartment and see if it's a lot different from the States. If you saw my first video when I was in quarantine, I still have to put up the second week. Oh my gosh. My week 1 video from quarantine, I did a tour of my room, which was literally just me standing in the middle of my room turning in a circle because it was so tiny. I just recently moved into this bigger room a couple of weeks ago. Showing you how much bigger this room is, because I love this room. It's so I can actually lay down on this floor and I have space. Look, space. Yes. My girl Missy said, how much are the boba teas? It really depends on where you go. Actually, not every coffee shop here will sell boba tea. You can get boba smoothies. They're very hard to come by. Actually, smoothies in general are kind of hard to come by here. But I know like some places they're a little bit more expensive. Like you go to like Gongcha. If you go to like the Venti, they're a little bit cheaper and they're honestly a little bit bigger too. The cheapest I've ever seen is like 4,000 won. Maybe, no, that's not true. 32,000 won. And then for a pretty good size, maybe like the size of a tall at Starbucks. Some that I've seen are also maybe like 6,000 won. So I would say it's pretty similar to American prices, but they're also not as big as you would get in America, if that makes any sense at all. There were also a few more basic questions like, let's see, what's quarantine like? If you guys remember my video, it was horrible. You had to take your temperature and log it for the government on this specialized app twice a day. I was not put in a facility. I had to pay over $1,000 to stay here. And granted, we got 3 meals a day, but it was horrible. It was so hard not having an outlet and not being able to go out. And like here, it's even worse now. Like nowadays, like 2022, it's even worse. Quarantine, it's like they watch you so closely. Like if you leave, you get a huge fine. Some say you may even be deported. I don't know if that's true or not, but I would not take any risks with that. How's the food? Boy, the food, Korean food, Asian food in general, I love it. I love the spices, the vegetables. I love how they use the real, not the MSG, but like how they use the real flavor of the food and like the ingredients and actually make the meal, you know? It's so savory to me. All the food here, I love I love the pakjeon, and I love haemuttang will always be one of my favorite foods. I love, what is it called? Oh my god, the chicken gizzards here. So good. Chicken gizzards. Chicken feet. Chicken feet are so good. Anything spicy. I love spicy food. Y'all know this. I love spicy food. Do you have a boyfriend yet? Have you met a K-pop idol yet? Alright, y'all, I went to a concert, but y'all need to quit playing with that. It's not gonna happen. Like, yes, idols do live here, but it's not like I could just be walking down the street one day and every other week I bump into someone from 17 or something like that. Like, it's not like that at all. Like, the place that I live, granted, I could literally walk to YG Entertainment. It's a 20-minute walk from my apartment. I could also walk to C9 Entertainment from here. It's about 30 minutes. So the companies are here. They're very close by, but the idols usually have very strict schedules and they're not just out wandering the streets like that. It's kind of unrealistic. Is stuff more expensive here? Yes. Period. Yes. Y'all know H&M? H&M is pretty popular in the US. I bought a pair of shoes. They would have been $15 at Walmart, maybe $20 at H&M. $70 for knockoff Converse. Like, I'm not even kidding. $70. It's so ridiculous. And like I told you, makeup is even more expensive here. Makeup is horribly expensive. There are a few things that are also incredibly expensive. Surprisingly enough, food is not one of them. Convenience store food, yes, but like restaurants, there are a lot of very reasonably priced restaurants around here that will actually give you a very big portion of food for very cheap, and I will appreciate that. All right, guys, so that was this Q&A. I will be doing another one after the semester begins. That was just kind of to sum up the previous 5 months that I've been here. Please stay tuned for more updates. I've got more videos coming. Thank you guys for your questions, and I'll see you in the next video.